Hi everybody, my name is Branka and I've been working at the Golf Hotel in Montreux for 5 months. I did my internship in service and I worked in the fine dining restaurant a la carte. I also did buffet style, more for breakfast and groups, and bartender, cashier, and also service at the terrace. So in this video I would like to talk about my internship learning objectives, which are 3. And I will explain how did I work to meet them, with which tools, and what I've learned. So I would also like to analyze them with the SWOT analysis, starting from strengths, weaknesses, threats, and opportunities. And I will also try to link those objectives to my second term and to my second internship.
As I mentioned in my first video, one of my internship learning objectives was to learn how to deal with guest complaints, and I wanted to measure it by reducing the time spent talking with the guests from 20 to 5 minutes. However, I found this quite hard because when you get in such a situation, you forget about the time and you're focused on the problem. Plus, you feel under pressure and you just think about the best solution. Another tool that I used was to check guest comments online, for example on TripAdvisor or Booking. Nevertheless, it didn't help me either. I believe that this is not due to people's carelessness, but because actually I didn't have the opportunity in this short time to have a huge complaint and to solve it. I would add that this doesn't mean I didn't learn anything, because I tried to follow my supervisors when the complaints turned on them. And by asking questions like why or how did you find out the right thing to do. One thing that made me feel happy is when a guest that the night before was complaining about the slow service the day after for breakfast, he was saying how it has changed into positive and that they appreciate. In the end, they were satisfied. The second internship learning objective was to learn how to manage my time better. And this is not only about being well organized, but also punctuality and curiosity. This is the reason why I asked my supervisors hints on how can I do several tasks in a short time. What would they suggest to me, etc. So I built a pyramid in my head with all the relevant tasks on the bottom that goes up and reach the task that you may or may not do on a daily basis. This helped me not to forget what should be done and when is the deadline. I pushed myself to learn by heart the easiest and fastest way, for example, while setting the tables, when we had to move them from one dining room to another one because of other events that were held in the hotel. Also, working as a team helped me a lot to be more coordinate, and having the power to lead my small team enforced my self-confidence. To sum this up, when it comes to practical experience, I can say that I'm a quick learner and I don't feel comfortable doing just the minimum request, but I like being quite independent. My last internship objective was to improve my organization skills, as well as serving and communication skills. In order to achieve this and finally get the independency of working alone, I did a big effort trying to communicate in the language that the guest was speaking, especially French, and sometimes a little bit of German as well. Many times I asked some French words or even sentences to my colleagues, also from other departments, because I believe that it's the easiest way to remember. This helped me a lot. Moreover, I showed my supervisors interest in the job that I was performing, not just by respecting them, but also by asking many questions, advices, and learning a lot from mistakes or after their criticism. It was fundamental that they could trust me, to give me many responsibilities, such as being alone at the bar, where I had to take the orders, make the drinks, or sometimes order snacks from the kitchen, serve the product, and at the end make sure that the customer pays. It can sound easy, but when it's really busy, you need to be quick and careful not to forget anything. This is working under pressure, basically. I had also the opportunity with the other interns to remain alone in the restaurant when we had just a few tables for dinner, and I tried to make the guests feel like we were not just trainees, but we were professionals. I believe that I definitely reached this goal, and I'm very proud and even more motivated to go further in the future. To conclude this first part, I would like to underline that after my internship I'm more mature, and I guess all my objectives are relevant for my next semester, as for example during the banquet, where I could apply the skills that I have achieved or not completely achieved. I will use my learning objectives and what I've learned also for my next internship to have a better understanding of the overall job and to develop my career in future. Let's move now to the SWOT analysis. After this 5 months internship, I can say that my strengths are self-confidence, time management, and leadership skills. I believe that I did well my job, especially during the breakfast service. I understood this when I felt that my manager was pushing more me than the other trainees to do the most tough duties as opening the breakfast, staying a bit longer in the evening if they needed, and working always during the weekend when it's very busy, etc. This was actually true because one day my manager told me he prefers to collaborate with me because I work really hard, which is a plus for me, but it's not always fair. I think that I was also good in communicating with guests, especially with elderly people that wanted to know a bit about us or also about Montreux. However, I really loved being at the bar, especially with Dario, our sommelier and chef de rank, because he wanted me to expose myself more to the guests and try to do by myself the whole service. My biggest difficulty was to work with the 3 of the managers at the same time, when the restaurant was full, plus the terrace. The fact is that they were not so organized, and the lack of staff helped them to argue during the service between each other, and this affected me a lot because in different ways they were either yelling at me or expecting me to do the miracle. In these situations, I preferred to stay at the pass and just bring the food to the dining room instead of being in the restaurant with them. I wanted to escape from this environment. I hated being in dishwash just because my view is that we are on internship to learn and to be followed and not to do for months the dishwash duties just because they can save money using us interns. This is really disappointing me. Some external facts also helped me during my internship. For example, the service classes where we learned fine dining service, but at the same time the buffet style in the cafeteria. So at the end I was quite prepared for this real life experience. I think that also lessons like how to handle guest complaints during personal development class in first year helped me to be more confident in case somebody comes to me to tell me the problem. Furthermore, I had a tutor that was working in the kitchen in the same hotel that helped me a lot when I had problems. For example, he taught me how to work in order not to make my bosses abuse from me. However, he also pushed me every day to try to follow one of my supervisor's steps to become more independent. And when it was hard, not to give up, but to show security and goodwill. All this not to lose their trust. To conclude this video, I'd like to add that some external facts were also obstacles. Maybe this is caused by my high expectation because even though it's a 4-star hotel in Switzerland, I was expecting more organization and discipline, especially in the management structure, but also towards guests. This disappointed me, and sometimes I felt that I'm not learning enough to get a valid experience. At the end, it was the biggest challenge that prevented me from becoming more and more professional.
I hope you liked this this video and thank you for watching.